What's up, everyone? Welcome back to more Reddit stories about entitled people, crazy people, and all that kind of stuff. Hope you're all doing awesome today, and as usual, we'll be checking out some more Reddit posts. So be sure to share your thoughts about today's stories down in the comments, and we're getting right into it. Hotel guests took our car keys, wouldn't bring them back. We're staying at a hotel in La Jolla, San Diego. Very nice hotel, great service. We called down to the valet to get our car brought around from the garage so we could go visit my aged mother at her nearby residence. When we get down to the valet station, no car. We wait, still no car. The valets go check and discover that our car is in the garage, but the key is missing. After checking all around, they look at the security footage of the valet stand and see that a hotel employee had placed the key on a stand by the valet desk. And before a valet could get it and go get our car, another hotel guest had just walked up and taken the key. The guests then proceeded to get in their own car and drive away. The hotel contacted the guests by phone and told them they had taken the wrong key and that they should return with it. The guests responded that they were driving to Oceanside about 20 minutes away, and they weren't going to turn around. So a hotel employee got into a car and started driving after them, and asked them to name a spot where they could stop and meet up so they could turn over the key. The guests responded that they were going to go on to their destination, so the employee had to go there too if they wanted the key back. Meanwhile, we used our backup key to drive our car to visit my mom. When we got back to the hotel, our key had been recovered, and the hotel had sent a good bottle of wine to our room to apologize for the incident. The staff was embarrassed and apologetic. We don't blame the staff though. The staff is great and went above and beyond. The idiot who just grabbed a random key without bothering to check if it was the right one, and then refused to alter their plans at all to get it returned. That's the thoughtless jerk we blame. And if you're wondering how they drove off with the wrong key, when the valets bring a car from the garage, they leave the key in the car at the valet station, usually either above the sun visor or in a cup holder. So the impatient idiot's key was already in their car waiting for them when they stole our key. Because of course they were too impatient to wait another 10 seconds to ask somebody, or to check for themselves. Today I effed up by setting my Wi-Fi hotspot to bomb detonator. Title says most of it. I was at a tech conference today. I like to broadcast random Wi-Fi hotspot names to mess with people, and after the recent story about the Planet Fitness, I thought it would go over well as a joke. I mean, who hasn't seen FBI surveillance fan as a network? Holy f***, do not do this. Cops got called. I got to spend about 45 minutes chatting with them. They asked a lot of questions. They had to make sure I'm not a threat. I cooperated fully. I have no doubt being a white guy at a nerd gathering probably helped. I was told I wasn't being charged. I was, however, told to leave by the venue and not come back. Flash forward 2 hours and I go to log into my work email on my phone. Password failed. Again. Okay, let's not fat finger this and lock the account. Pull out the laptop, remote into my work PC, go to log in. Your account has been disabled. Contact your system's administrator. 20 minutes later, I get the text message. You are being placed on administrative leave effective today, May 23rd, while the agency investigates today's events surrounding you being removed from the venue. You are not to complete any work, access agency networks, or report to the office during your leave. We will contact you when the investigation is complete. Update. I received my termination letter and personal effects by registered mail, and was provided a certified letter envelope to return company property with, which I have already sent out. The essence of the letter was, you're being terminated because of that screw-up. Here's the part of the company manual that told you not to do something like that. Give us our stuff back or get no last paycheck. So let's get the basics out of the way. I have from the beginning accepted that this is wholly my fault. I meant it in jest. I thought I was so obviously past the line of Poe's law that I would simply give the other guests a humorous story to tell. It's a running joke to have Wi-Fi with something like FBI surveillance van. I wanted only that, something for the other guests to chuckle over. Be careful what you wish for, you dumb What did they say about hindsight? Half of the world knows the story now. We'll get to that in a minute. I wanted my post to serve as a warning to others. I received several notes from people who had considered doing the same or similar, with one guy even planning it for the next day and stopped because of my post. That is enough. Yes, we've already agreed I'm a screw-up, or some variation, so let's skip that this time. I'd say take it back to the previous posts, but that got locked. I mean, seriously, I just pissed away a 9-year career and the world saw it happen. Again, we'll get to that. I'm pretty much begging, please do not turn this into another episode of Reddit Solves Mysteries. A lot of things were said in the previous posts that will allow you to infer a fair amount. Yes, it was public sector. Please leave it at that. I have already shamed my employer within its own circles. There is no good reason to publicly shame them by linking them to me. I have not represented them or their values with my behavior. Please don't dox me. Thank you. Now about that half of the world crack. There's effing up. There's really effing up. There's effing up in public. And then there's third place on the bloody front page. What in the People's Republic of Hell is going on around here? I was only expecting a dozen upvotes, 5 comments of haha what a moron, and maybe one supportive comment that got downvoted past the threshold. Somehow I ended up on Facebook feeds of people in New Zealand, and one of my friends from Seattle heard his coworkers talking about it. I had 2 former coworkers from years back text message me out of nowhere to get more details. There is something darkly humorous and possibly ironic that the biggest mistake in my adult life practically turned into a meme. So now it's on to processing this, filing for unemployment, if I'm even eligible, touching up my resume and cover letters, and starting to rebuild. Okay, so interestingly, there's also some comments that shed a bit more light on OP and this whole situation in general. This whole story was cross-posted into r/best of Redditor updates, and some commenters over there said this, talking about OP. He commented he was a state agency employee in computer and IT security. He really should have known better. Also, not going to dox, but pretty sure he was in a city that was having parcel bombs at the time, or within a year of his doing this, so the police etc. would have been on high alert. What a dumbass. And he says he's 40. Way too old to be learning this costly lesson. But it gets even more interesting because someone else responded to this comment saying, "Yep, you're right. I worked with him." Let's just say you guys are getting 1/10 the story. He didn't go calmly or quietly. It was a high-profile cybersecurity conference for the entire state, and a total embarrassment. He was an utter train wreck of mental illness who picked fights with people constantly. Total creep, too. Exactly how you'd expect a 40-year-old edgelord with rage issues to look and act. Dude has been blacklisted at every state agency he's worked at, but it's always someone else's fault. I heard he got a Fed job about 1 year later. And someone asked this commenter, yikes, what did he do when he left? Not that I blame them for hiring this twit. And the same person who claims to have worked with him said, he screamed about having rights, freedom of speech, etc. the entire way as they marched him out of the conference. His follow-up was pretty on point at describing how his termination went down. He just didn't share the myriad of termination near misses he had prior to the incident. C-suite management blocked his termination each time, against the wishes of so many agency staff. Always just one more chance. I talked to him the day before the final incident, and he weirded me out enough to go to his director. At that time, I was afraid he might beat someone in the parking lot. People parking in our downtown sticker-only lot was a regular trigger of his rages, which had gotten physical in the past. Hearing about the incident at the conference was a bit of a relief. At least nobody was injured. I do hope he was able to find some inner peace. Yeah, he did this at a cybersecurity convention, in a city that had recently had bomb incidents. What else would you expect? And OP did update on this regarding his life after the incident. He says, I have delayed posting a final update because I wanted to get to a point where there felt like an ending to the story. That keeps not being the case, and I've received enough messages from people asking how I'm doing, or how things played out, so here it is. 6 months after losing the job in my previous posts, I got another job. A month into my employment, I grew confrontational with the security guard and lost that job too. I was then forced to work as a line cook at a local diner through the Thanksgiving and Christmas seasons. My spouse and I sold our house and moved in with our new roommate in another state. I burned this account because my former coworkers discovered or were told about my posts. I did not say my goodbyes to most of my former coworkers or my friends. I completely ghosted one coworker who wanted to have lunch. I felt like I was going into exile. I still feel like I did. Shortly after arriving here, I finally had the breakdown that everyone saw coming, and I had to turn myself into the ER for suicidal ideations. They sent me to a mental health care facility where I stayed for the next month. Then I went into a year of dialectal behavioral therapy with the local Veterans Affairs. What followed was a short period of working in a grocery store, some vocational rehabilitation from the VA, and then a short term as a contractor for a local hospital. While I was working that job, my current job fell into my lap. It was an opportunity to take on more responsibility than I ever had, but also a chance to redeem myself. I took it without hesitation. It has not been easy, and I struggle with my responsibilities. This month will mark my 1-year anniversary with my current employers. During this period, there have been a lot of medication changes. There has been a 6-month period where I didn't sleep properly or at all, and almost lost my marriage again due to my behavior. I went back into a mental health care facility for a week. I am currently dealing with physical health issues that take time to clear up and slow my mental health progress. Emotionally, I never fully recovered. Many people have wondered how I could do the things I did, how my life ended up like this. The truth is that I had untreated complex PTSD, untreated ADHD, and undiagnosed borderline personality disorder. I was on a strong dose of an antipsychotic medication for insomnia. I was literally a ticking time bomb, and I had been for years, if not decades. Once I lost the first job, the pin was out of the grenade and I spiraled. When I lost the second job, I spiraled even faster. We all have problems, some of us more so than others. If someone in your life expresses concern about your behavior or your worldviews, take that as an indicator that maybe something needs to be looked at. It's possible that there is something wrong that needs to be addressed. I didn't listen when people told me I was too angry. I didn't listen when people said they were afraid of me. How could they be? I still saw myself as the scrawny kid who got the crap kicked out of him in school. I was afraid of the world. How could they be afraid of me? I don't have a happy ending for you, as my life is still a struggle to keep my issues from being everyone else's problem. I am less prone to outbursts and I reel myself in quicker, but I am not where I feel you need to be in order to be called a functioning adult in society. This isn't the end for me. I am still fighting to survive, but I am my own worst enemy, and it will take years to get to a place where I feel like the saga is over and I have truly recovered. Yeah, so I feel like that update did give a bit more context on OP's overall state of mind. I know that final update was pretty depressing, and I was actually trying to decide whether or not I wanted to include it in this video, but I decided to read it because I felt like it helped paint a bigger picture of this whole situation. Yeah, what OP did was a dumb, terrible mistake. We all know that, but I'm sure he's the one that feels the real implications of that more than anyone else. So yeah, apart from the whole bomb threat thing, I do hope OP's actually doing okay, or at least hanging in there, because it sounds like he's got some pretty tough things to deal with. But anyways, that's going to be it for today, guys. I don't really want to end the video on sort of a sad note like this, but it is what it is, I guess. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, be sure to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already for more Reddit content like this. So take care everyone, and I'll see you next time.